All right, still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
That was really weird, huh? Okay. We're live, by the
All
way,
right.
just to let you know.
Okay.
And
That
let's
sounds
see.
good.
And to confirm, you don't have a YouTube that you want to give out. You just have a Twitter, and that Twitter, if anyone wants to go and hang out with you, is way too much beer at way too much beer, right?
All right.
All right, and that is in the description as well. Here, let me give this to you too, just in case you want to see it, or I don't know, like talk about how you destroyed me. All right, so just let's level set here for just a second. Make sure that we're on the same page, because you actually came on. You were either invited or you were invited by the other guy, or you saw and asked if you could be on. Interestingly, the reason I didn't see your thing was because I muted you, which means I was either having a bad day, or in my opinion, you went out of your way to be annoying. Probably me having a bad day. But to level set, the entire argument is that well, the other guy was saying that Badgie went too far, that it had too much gore, and that's just not Legacy Trek. Or at least that was my specific counter. Is that where you're going with Badgie, or where do you stand with Badgie specifically?
Um. Well, I mean, so Badgie feels like to me it's like a murderous version of the Clippy uh, figure from the Microsoft Word. I don't know if you've ever, like back in the day, Microsoft Word had this Clippy, like little paperclip character, and it would pop up when you're trying to open Word, and if you say something like, "It looks like you're trying to write a letter," whatnot, and that's kind of what it reminded me of when I first saw it. But the way they set it up, like there's something about this show that it's kind of predictable in a lot of ways. Like you can kind of see like the formulas. Like as soon as they had Clippy come on and Timmy was talking about how cute he looked and stuff like that, I knew that they were going to go a different way with him. Like it wasn't just going to be like an annoying paperclip type of thing. And it turned out he seemed like more of like a psychotic version of Howie or Mr. Hanky or something like that.
Mr. Hanky.
And
The
so,
psychotic version of Mr. Hanky. I like that.
so,
I was just
so
laughing.
at first,
Go ahead.
so at first I was like, so did Rutherford program Badgie to be that way, like to have feelings, and then if and then to be murderous if he hurt those feelings, and if he did, then why did he kick the horn? Why did he kick him?
Right.
So it was kind of a weird thing for me. For the murdering thing, I just thought it was kind of it was the direction I figured they were going to go. They were going to make him kill somebody or try to kill somebody. Um, so it just felt like predictable to me. Uh, Also a little ridiculous overall.
Okay, so what it sounds like, because here's the thing, and here's my entire point with Lower Decks. It sounds like you just don't like that it's necessarily comedic, because there's nothing with Badgie that, and you don't like that it's predictable, because there's nothing with Badgie that hasn't been done or done worse in Legacy Trek, even with holograms. There have been multiple holograms that are actually worse than Badgie. So is the thing with Badgie being like murderous. I don't think Rutherford did that on purpose. I think that he just he knew that it wasn't ready. He's not a hollow programmer. He's just trying to put this together, and he created something that can be murderous, which is a problem. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he necessarily did it on purpose, and I don't think he realized, because he even says, "I showed it when I wasn't ready."
Right.
And that because I wanted to impress you or whatever. So,
Right.
I mean, we can again. You weren't the one that I necessarily originally interacted with, so we can talk about Lower Decks as a whole if you prefer, or if you want to hang your hat on Badgie. I just don't think that's a winning proposition, because Badgie in and of itself is not bad.
That Badgie is like just one thing about Lower Decks that's bad. I mean, it's like one of the things that I think that they believe is that chaos. They believe that chaos is comedy, and in some cases, yeah, you can do it right if you make it work. But it seems like they're doing it just for the sake of doing it, and not because it helps the story in any way. But I mean, yeah. So part of my issue with Lower Decks. Let me go a little before that. Um, let's go all the way back to Discovery real quick.
Okay.
When they first announced that they were making Discovery, I was actually very excited to hear about that. They were making new Trek, and it was supposed to be in the prime timeline of 10 years before Kirk. I didn't see any of the previews or anything. I just wanted to I just wanted to watch it once it came out. And once it came out, I had a lot of questions.
Okay.
About all of that stuff. And then when they came out with the Picard trailer, the first one where they introduced Seven and Data, I was really hoping that it was going to be good once again, because Captain Picard is my overall favorite character in Star Trek. So I was hoping that, and like his acting is great, but it seemed like a lot of times the dialogue got into its own way, and so I ended up being disappointed about that too. So going into Lower Decks, I went into it with assuming a pattern of suck, because just because of that, the other two shows. This one surprised me a little bit, because there's aspects of the show that I actually do like, and I actually think that they're going a better direction with this show. Maybe if they had taken it more seriously instead of turning it into a comedy, it might actually be really, I do think it's better than Discovery and Picard, though. So one of my issues with the show is that I feel like they have a problem trying to figure out like how to make things funny. Like when they do it, like it reminds me of a Rick and Morty comedy, but like I don't know, like it's like part of it, like some of the things that they think is funny is like when they reward incompetence, like they promoted Mariner as a punishment. Meanwhile, Boimler, who's been trying to be this model Starfleet officer, just kind of left in the dust there. Also, like as I said before, they treat chaos as comedy, and they also, like with the references, it's fine. The references are fine, except that a lot of times it seems like they're using them as comedic punchlines. A lot of times, like at the end when they were saying like the best, the best Starfleet officer ever was Chief O'Brien, and that was supposed to be a comedic punchline. I didn't really find it, but I thought it was nice that they mentioned O'Brien, but yeah, I think it's like I do think it sucks, but I think it sucks for different reasons than Picard and Discovery suck.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
It does. I mean, we can talk about. I'm just trying to better understand what you're. If you don't like it because it's comedic and you don't think that's the way Star Trek should go, then that's saying one piece, I guess. And I'm looking at your Twitter feed right now because I'm trying to get a better sense of your issues overall. Now, I'm hyperbolic too. I'm hyperbolic on Twitter too. That's Twitter. That's what Twitter does.
I do that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because when I'm looking at this, you're like, what the F is this stuff when he's ripping heads off? But we both agree that it's there's been as much or worse when it comes to Trek previously.
Yeah, but it wasn't so, I don't know, like the way they did it before, it wasn't so gruesome. I mean, it wasn't so, um, like one of the things I did like that Picard did, they did in the Picard show was, when they first met the, what's the Romulan's name with the sword? When they first meet him, and he pledges himself to Picard, he cuts off that Romulan's head, that Romulan senator's head, just decapitates him. And when they beam down to the ship, Picard berates him, saying that guy didn't need to die. That's kind of what I remember Star Trek being more about, that type of stuff. And in a newer Trek, it seems like most of the time they let those deaths go without really caring. Yeah.
But here's the point, I guess, and maybe this is kind of where we come from a different, because I study Star Trek for a living, even though some of your friends just don't think I do. There was, and I don't know if you remember seeing this or you've ever seen it, but there's a Voyager episode where a Vidian, literally, you got B'Elanna and she has a friend, and a Vidian literally cuts her friend's face off and wears it and talks to her and wants to be her friend through that face. And then you have the the episode everybody goes to, which is the commander getting his face blown off or whatever.
Right.
I guess my point is that Badgie is so tame. That is, especially since it's a cartoon.
I would say this.
It's so tame.
I would say this. Those two episodes weren't the best Trek episodes either. And sometimes I feel like they're taking the worst aspects of the older Trek and expanding on those rather than the best. Okay,
but you can't say it's not Trek. I mean, I don't know necessarily. I feel like I've seen it, but maybe not. Would you agree with others that this is not Star Trek? Because these are things that happen in Star Trek. I will agree. Well, like one thing we have a common. Well, I mean, let me finish real quick.
Okay.
One thing we have a common ground in is Discovery season 1 is like some of the worst writing, like bar none. But for Star Trek overall, I think that a lot of it's horrific. So we don't necessarily disagree when it comes to some of the stuff, like, and again, the eye thing in Picard or Discovery season 1 for sure. Oh my God, I had to do something with that today. It was just horrible. So it's just Lower Decks, even if it's the worst aspects of it, and I'll agree, sometimes they take the worst aspects. Can you really say it's not Trek?
Well, I mean, it's Star Trek in that, I mean, it's from CBS, it's labeled Star Trek, it's got all the copyrights and stuff like that. It's technically Trek, and I don't mind saying that. Like, I just wish maybe if like, let's say they take Discovery and they said, okay, this is a alternate timeline, kind of like the Kelvin timeline, but just a different one. I accepted the Kelvin timeline because they admitted it was a different timeline and it didn't mess with the original timeline. So I was fine with that. If they would have done the same thing for this one, I think I would have been able to really, put that out of my head, put all the canon and stuff out of my head, aesthetics and whatnot, and then enjoy it for what it is. That's kind of what I think about that, because if they had done that and then with maybe done the same thing with Picard, it would have been easier for me to enjoy. But Lower Decks, it's much harder for me to believe that it's within the same timeline as the original, because they do things like at that one time with the guy who went through the Ascension. He declares that the universe is carried on his back by a giant koala, and they show like this big smiling koala or whatnot.
Yeah,
like I can't take that seriously enough to.
Yeah, we were talking about that before, and so there's an explanation. I first off, I agree that I think they're leaning too far into the cartoonishness and to call it canon. I agree with that. I hopefully they won't I think that for me, they're just on the edge of it, and I hope they don't go too much further into it. But I will. Technically, you could try to explain it away. You could say that's what he's perceiving, and that it could be it could be an alien messing with him. That's definitely not what they were intending. They intended that to be what it is. But in theory, go ahead.
And when he went through the ascension, like he was in agony, he was screaming in pain.
Yeah.
And I remember the episode where the original track episode where the guy goes through the ascension, he lights up, he gasps a little bit, like as if he's feeling something, and then he starts glowing, and then after that he's in no pain. So once again, I feel like they believe that chaos is comedy instead of just having him go through the ascension and say whatever. They made him scream in pain and agony.
Okay. So you don't want it to be a comedy, is what it sounds like. You want them to take it a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have the stuff that they have right. All right. For that time for that era of Trek. The aesthetics are fine. They got the L cards that look like L cards. The holodeck looks like the holodeck. The theme music, I like the theme music. I think it's pretty uplifting and optimistic. A couple of the characters I do like. I like the Katian, the cat lady, the doctor.
Right.
I don't know her. I don't remember the name though. I like Rutherford. I think he's like a good Star Trek character. He's very happy-go-lucky. He likes to work. He's not afraid to try new things. He obviously has a crush on Tendi that he doesn't want to tell her or whatever. But so he seems like a pretty well-rounded character. So yeah, there's stuff that I think has a lot of potential to be a good, But I think what happened, when they made it, when they did the other Trek, they made them kind of dark, kind of dystopic and everything. And I feel like in this one they went the complete opposite way, and they made it more ridiculous.
Okay.
A little more comedic. And I would love to see like a middle ground of some sort where there's light moments, but then there's really serious dramatic moments. There's tension, and it's balanced with a little bit of comedy as well, somewhat.
Okay. I'm not going to push you too far on this because, again, I do the same thing. But the only other thing I'd ask is, so, like, for instance, you talk about Boimler glowing, and you say he turns into a Force ghost. They've forgotten the franchise. And then you call the others Antifa. Okay, that's what I figured. I figured you're messing with them. But, dude, you know how the internet works. Everybody's going to be watching this, go to your Twitter, and then think that's what you actually believe. So I wanted to get that out of there. So I guess let's look at Picard real quick, because again, Picard is more serious, but interestingly, we're going to have a lot more common ground there, so it may not be as big of a conversation. I mean, when it comes to Picard, and a lot of the people you interact with would say that Picard is a complete failure, and that it doesn't follow Star Trek itself. I guess my problem is, and again, this could be the fact that I've done so much research. There's nothing in Picard that technically isn't in Legacy Trek. They just do it worse or they make it darker, right? And you've kind of said that. 1 second. What's up, baby?
Can I go on the computer?
Give me 1 second. What?
Can I go on the computer?
Yeah, it's fine.
Also, these lights are too bright.
Oh, I'm sorry. Love you.
My eyes, they're burning!
Sorry, my kids. But yeah, what I guess what I'm better trying to understand is, like I was saying, it's Trek. It just seems like Trek done badly to me. But a lot of people would say it's not Trek. So I mean, where do you fall on that?
Well, I mean, once again, like I wish the writing was better. I wish the dialogue worked for a lot of it. It felt like like one of the things I enjoyed about older Trek is that it made me smarter. I would listen to the dialogue and I would be like, what are they talking about, or what does that word mean, or whatnot. And I would look up these words, and then over time I watch them again and again, and I begin to understand them a lot better. I felt like Star Trek used to be written for like intelligent people,
Okay.
So this one it felt like they were trying to write for the same type of intelligent characters, but it was the writers weren't the writers aren't I don't want to say they're unintelligent. They don't. Sometimes they sound pretentious. It sounds pretentious when they try to sound smart
Right.
in the dialogue, and and so like when you write about something that you don't really know what you're writing about, you either sound like you don't know what you're talking about, or you sound really pretentious about what you're talking. And I think it's either one or the other when it comes to Picard. I think the Maddox plot was wasted. I think they could have done a lot more with Maddox rather than just kill him off right after, and then everybody forgives, the girl who kills him in the end.
Right.
Which I thought was, I don't know, I didn't really like that.
Oh no, she deserves to be in prison. She committed murder. There is no redemption for her.
Exactly. I wish that if they went as far as to kill Picard, they should have kept him dead instead of putting him in a golem or whatnot, keeping him alive for another season.
You cut out there just at the end, and my daughter asked me a question. Sorry, my daughter asked a question, and you cut off at the end. What was the last thing you said?
Yes, I wish that they didn't, if they were going to go as far as to kill off Picard or give him the death sting, they should have left him dead instead of putting him in a golem outfit. It felt like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. Give Picard, the death sting, a death sting, but then don't kill him. I thought that ending was bad. Like I wish maybe instead of having another version of Data, that maybe they would have had him with Q, and Q congratulates him on finally passing this test or whatever. That would have been a little more appropriate, I think. But I mean that a lot of that is kind of just my preference. I wish they spent more. I wish they spent more. I wish they did more with the board cube than what they did. The Romulan brother and sister thing. I don't know. Like it felt like they could have cut a lot of that out, and it would have been just as good. You wouldn't have lost any of the plot and whatnot. I feel like a lot of that could have been cut out. I felt like it was a waste. It was a good set, but the scene, I don't know. Especially when they start slipping and sliding in that one board corridor. I thought that was
right.
Yeah, there's a lot. I did like the fact that they did reference older Trek. They did reference certain episodes. The references to Mechanical Heart and stuff like that. I did like that, but there was also a lot of stuff that they, for some reason, chose not to acknowledge. They talked a lot about, quote unquote, Data's daughters, but there was no mention of Lal.
Right.
Who was Data's daughter from the Next Generation, and they also mentioned his brother in two occasions. They mentioned B4 and they show him in the drawer, and then they show the Soon character, the new Soon character they introduced, So, and Data refers to to them as his brothers. But, they don't mention Lord, who's also his brother.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they don't mention that I felt like maybe there was a legal reason or some sort, but there was really no reason why there really should have been a reason why it wasn't included, other than the fact that I guess they had the priorities messed up.
Sure. Yeah, they had a lot. I wouldn't believe that they didn't have the rights to it. That wouldn't make any sense. I think,
Right.
and I think it's just, and it is a lot more insulting. They just decided not to go that route. And not bring it up because there's other things that are more important, like a scene of her
Like Spot.
Yeah.
They had to talk about Spot.
Or her building that that beacon for like 20 minutes of a episode for no reason. So yeah, they had options to cut stuff and then add stuff like that. I agree. So all right, man. I mean, just based on it, it sounds like you don't like the comedy aspect. You want to be a little more serious. And then we basically similarly agree when it comes to just the poor writing or the lack of even caring about what happened in the past.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So
and Lower Deck seems to do a better job with that aspect of the writing than Picard or Discovery does.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe Strange New Worlds changes it all. Maybe it makes it all better. You never know. Hopefully.
Maybe. Except I really hope that if they do that show, they actually go back to more of a classic look, if that's what they want to go for, if they want to stay in that era.
Oh no, they're gonna do Kelvin universe all the way.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But I mean, are you going to let that completely defeat it, or can you just let that go?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on.
Let's just assume.
How they write
for
it.
fun. Yeah, let's just assume, just for fun, that they write it exactly how you want it. It goes back to what you remember from nostalgia or legacy track, but it's set in the aesthetic of the Kelvinverse. Can you let that go? There's no right answer. I'm just curious.
I probably couldn't accept the lens flares. I probably could accept the lens flares. Like those, they overdo those lens flares.
Right. Well, I mean, Toss wasn't much better, but yeah, they take advantage of that way too much. All right, brother. Well, I mean, again, I want to thanks for coming on. I mean, here's why I started doing this, and of course, it's all amped up on Twitter and stuff like that. But
Right.
I get people. I want people. I'm done like having these arguments necessarily on comments and Twitter, just without any consequence. So I have an open invitation now, and I think it does take quite a bit to come on and to verbalize what you want, especially when there's people there and the internet is what it is. So I appreciate you come on. And are you sure Twitter's the only place? You don't have a YouTube channel that you want anybody to know about?
Well, my YouTube channel. It's like from family and friends and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, other than that, just my Twitter.
All right. Yeah, I'll share it in the comments and in the description. Thanks so much, man. You want to say anything else to people before I let you go?
No, I think I've said everything I needed to say.
All
I'm
right.
glad this was very civil.
Oh yeah.
I like having civil conversations with people when it comes to Star Trek. Sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now I tell you, I'm gonna be pretty laid back, though. I may, once we get the other person on, and I'm not sure how he wants to be introduced yet. I don't know if it's just by his Twitter or his YouTube channel, so that's why I haven't been using any necessarily names or anything. I may have a little fun with that because he got a bit insulting. But next, if you're here next week with him, it'll be generally the same. I may be a little more fun, but generally the same. So, all right, brother, thanks for coming by, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right, see ya.
All right, bye.
Okay, so that That was a thing. Oh.